Time management is an important skill for you to develop over your time at university. And starting with your weekly schedule, I think it's important to look at what commitments you have every week. For example, you might have some work commitments. That might be just a couple of hours a week. You might have a 9-to-5 job. Put in your work commitments so that you can start to have a look at how you might organise your study around those work commitments. Then have a think about things like any sports training or any other interests you might have. And also think about any of those other commitments like church, family and other hobbies. Also think about how many contact hours you have at ECU, and if you can, plug them into a weekly planner. There's an example of an ECU weekly timetable planner available with this video on Blackboard. If you put all these commitments into your weekly planner, it should start to show you the obvious best times for you to study and the times when you might be most effective. Remember, for every contact hour you do at university, there's an expectation that you'll do a minimum of 2 to 3 hours of study. That's preparing for lectures, that's doing background reading and preparing for assignments as well. Make time before your class to prepare things like the recommended reading, so do a bit of the recommended reading before the class so that you're not too confused about the topic. And then also make plenty of time after things like lectures to process what you've learned, and that might involve just having a chat with your classmates or contributing to forums as well if you're online. And then also don't forget that if you're really busy, it's important you make time to relax for things like going to the gym or going for a swim. Here's an example of a weekly planner which we don't think is something we'd recommend too much to a student at ECU. You can see, for example, that on the Monday the student has a tutorial, then goes to work and then comes back for the lecture for that unit. If possible, Monday would look like a day which would be a good one to spend just at university. Tuesday, after studying until 2 AM, the student's going to sleep in till 10:30, rush to a lecture and then drink coffee. Perhaps finishing study a bit earlier might not mean that you need to sleep in on the Tuesday. Wednesdays, okay, looks like a pretty good devoted work day, although if possible it would be good to be able to devote some time afterwards to processing and studying the notes. Some days it might just not be possible to come to university. You might have work commitments all day, that's understandable, but then it's important to work around those commitments. Friday looks again like a university day, although spending 2 hours for drinking coffee is probably a little bit too long. And then a very hectic social schedule 2 nights a week with the necessary sleeping in afterwards is perhaps not the best way to use your weekends. If you have a look at this planner, there seem to be a few advantages to this. Okay, the person is working less, but it's sort of concentrated into certain areas, which allows you to work around that otherwise. There's little rewards like going to the gym, watching a particular TV show if you so wish, and also making sure that you have an opportunity to get plenty of sleep. Generally, students are most effective and perform at their best early in the morning after a good night's sleep. Work commitments are still there, and on weekends there's still opportunities, at least some of the time on weekends for study. So we think this is a far more balanced timetable for a particular student. Also, you can think about how to plan your time across the semester. We suggest you get a semester planner and put in exactly each week that your unit assignments are due. On top of that, it's a good idea to put in exactly what percentage each of the assessments are worth, so that you can make sure that you prioritise certain assessments that might be worth more marks. Make sure you plug in the mid-semester break. This is a great time to catch up on any activities or lectures or readings that you've fallen behind on. It's not usually a holiday. Look at plugging in other important days such as public holidays, birthdays, just so that you know that they're coming and they don't come as a surprise. All of these dates and deadlines go into your semester planner, which will just allow you to see what's coming before you get too much of a surprise about what's going on with your studies. Here's an example of the weekly planner, and then here's an example of the semester planner as well that you can download. The weekly planner is simple enough. The semester planner, you just add in the weeks depending on when the mid-semester break is. You'll need to put that in, and then you put the unit details, assessments, what percentage they are, and that will give you an idea of how your semester is going to look.